Hello, my dear students. I welcome you once again to this current lecture. As we know that in a last lecture, we completed one important point, that is the optical isomerism. So what is by optical isomerism? What is mean by different type of the lights? What is the use of polarimeter? What are the meaning of dextrorotatory and levorotatory compounds? So that particular points we already covered in a last lecture. Now in relation to the same point, in a current lecture we are going to take the new concept, that is called as the specific rotation. We already know the definition for levorotatory and the dextrorotatory compounds. Depending upon how the solution of that particular compound rotates, the plane polarized light, whether it rotates in a clockwise or anti-clockwise manner. So depending upon the dextro and levorotatory, these two compounds are to be assigned for a given solution of a molecule. Now we know that while rotating the plane of a plane polarized light, it shows some degrees of rotation. It shows some degrees of or some number of degrees of rotation. So whenever we take into consideration these number of degrees of rotation, when we consider number of degrees of rotation, number of degrees of rotation, whenever we consider this parameter, number of degrees of rotation by the given solution containing 1 gram compound per ml, then that particular number of degrees of rotation can be treated as the specific rotation. So this is a new concept regarding this optical isomerism, that is a specific rotation, in which extent that particular solution of the molecule rotates the given plane polarized light through the degrees of rotation. So we can say that this specific rotation can be defined as the number of degrees of rotation of the solution given by the solution of 1 gram per ml of the compound, then that particular number of degrees of rotation is called as the specific rotation. This specific rotation can be represented by alpha. This alpha stands for specific rotation with respect to this temperature as well as this wavelength. So we can say that this specific rotation can be defined with respect to this temperature and with respect to the wavelength of the monochromatic light. So we can say that specific rotation is nothing but the number of degrees of rotation of the solution containing 1 gram per ml of solution with respect to the specific temperature and the wavelength of the monochromatic light, then that is called as the specific rotation. It is represented by alpha with respect to temperature, and lambda is equal to, it is given by the simple equation, is equal to theta divided by L into C. So this is a simple equation for calculating this specific rotation, that is equal to theta divided by L into C. Now as far as this equation is considered, it has some parameters. So first important parameter, that is called as alpha. This alpha is called as the specific rotation. This alpha is called as the specific rotation. Alpha is your specific rotation. This is a specific rotation. The second parameter, that is called as the T. T stands for here temperature. T stands for temperature. Next is your lambda, that is the wavelength of, this is the wavelength of monochromatic light. This is the wavelength of monochromatic light. This is your lambda. Next important parameter, that is called as a theta. This theta is there. This stands for degrees of rotation, or we can say that it is a degrees of rotation. It is the degrees of rotation. This theta is a degrees of rotation. Next is your L. So L stands for length of tube, stands for length of polarimeter tube. This is the length of polarimeter tube. Next is your C. This C stands for concentration of solution. This is concentration of solution in unit of gram per ml. In the unit of gram per ml. So these are the all terms involved in this equation. Alpha is a specific rotation, T is a temperature, lambda is a wavelength of monochromatic light. This theta is a degrees of rotation. Next is a L, that is the length of polarimeter tube, and last is called as a C, that is nothing but the concentration of solution in the unit of gram per ml. So in a short we can say that while taking into consideration the specific rotation shown by a particular solution, at that time we have to take into consideration all these parameters. So in this parameter, one important parameter is there, that is called as a L. This L stands for length of polarimeter tube. So commonly that length of a polarimeter tube can be taken as 10 centimeter in a length. So that length of a polarimeter tube can be commonly used. So this is a specific rotation shown by a solution of a particular molecule. Now once we studied this specific rotation, with respect to this specific rotation we may define the levorotatory and the dextrorotatory compounds. So by using this particular, we have to study the next related concept, that is called as the your term, that is optical activity. This is the next term, that is a optical activity. So we know very well what is this optical activity. In the last lecture we come across this term optical activity. So we can say that if this optical activity is concerned, we can say that whenever a given solution rotates that plane polarized light, then at that time we can say that that solution or that molecule is called as the optical active molecule. Now whenever this optical activity can be studied, this optical activity whenever is concerned, it involves some type of the relationship between the object and its mirror image. We have to take into consideration the two words, one is your object and its mirror image. Object and its mirror image. Object and mirror image. Suppose in this case we consider object as our molecule. If we consider object as our molecule and if we consider its mirror image, then by taking into consideration the relationship between the object to its mirror image, we can say that depending upon that we can say that that molecule is optically active or inactive. Suppose if the object and mirror image have is the relationship between that, if the mirror image of this particular object is a non-superimposable. If non-superimposable mirror image is there, non-superimposable mirror image. If a molecule or object has non-superimposable mirror image, so at that time we can say that that molecule is to be treated as the optical active molecule. It is to be treated as optical active molecule. Suppose if our original compound is a dextrorotatory compound, if our original compound is a dextrorotatory compound and if we take into consideration its mirror image, then it must be a levorotatory compound. Its mirror image must be levorotatory compound. So if we take into consideration these two objects or these two particular molecules, one is a dextrorotatory, second is called as levorotatory, and if we take into consideration their mirror image, it must be non-superimposable, and that's how you can say that these type of the compounds are called as the optical active compounds. So for these optical active compounds, the important criteria is that the object must have non-superimposable mirror image. At that time we can say it is a optical active molecule. So this is one of the important condition for this optical activity. The next important parameter in this case is called as your chirality. The next important term in this optical activity is called as the chiral center. It's called as the chiral center, or it may called as the asymmetric carbon atom or asymmetric carbon atom. This is the next important concepts in this optical activity, that is what is meant by chiral center or what is meant by the your asymmetric carbon atom. Now, as far as this chiral center or asymmetric carbon is considered, we know very well that this carbon is tetravalent in nature. Carbon is tetravalent in nature. Suppose if this carbon, if this carbon is attached, if this carbon is attached to the atom or substance as A, it is a B, it is a E, it is a D. So we can say that if a situation is there in which if this carbon is attached to 4 different atoms or groups, if this carbon is attached to 4 different atoms or groups, at that situation that carbon is called as the chiral center. That carbon is called as the chiral center, or it may called as the asymmetric carbon atom, and such a type of the carbon atom can be indicated by such a type of the asterisk mark. So we can say that this carbon is attached to 4 different atoms or groups, so it is called as the chiral center or asymmetric carbon atom. Suppose if we take a simple example like the molecule, it is CHO, this is CH2OH, this is OH, and this is a H. Suppose this molecule is called as a glyceraldehyde molecule. It is a glyceraldehyde. So in this glyceraldehyde, what happens? This centrally situated carbon is attached to 4 different atoms or groups. One is a OH, second is a CH2OH, third is a H, and fourth is called as a CHO. So we can say that this molecule possesses one chiral center or asymmetric carbon atom. That is this centrally situated carbon is called as the asymmetric or chiral carbon atom. So this is a simple example for this particular chiral center or asymmetric carbon atom. Now this chiral center or asymmetric carbon atom is a very important concept, because if we say that a given molecule is optical active molecule, so at that situation what happens, that molecule must have at least one chiral center, or we can say that one asymmetric carbon atom. So that molecule is called as the optically active molecules. So for this optical activity, the second important concept or second important condition is that that molecule must have at least one chiral center or one asymmetric carbon atom. At that situation, that molecule is to be treated as optically active molecule. So this is the second type of the conditions, but we cannot say that in each and every time your molecule is optically active if it possesses the chiral center. Suppose if I take such a type of the example, if I take here the second type of example, if such a type of the molecule is there, and if in this molecule what happens, if we consider this molecule, it is a tartaric acid. In this tartaric acid what happens, if we look towards how many carbon atoms is present, 4 carbon atoms, 1 2, this is a 3 and this is a 4. If we look towards carefully this molecule has the 2 chiral center, this molecule has the 2 chiral centers. So we expect that this molecule must be a optically active molecules. But what happens, even though this molecule has the presence of the chiral center, but it is a optically inactive molecule. It is a optically inactive molecule. Now why this is so? Because if we take the mirror image of this particular molecule, it is a superimposable, and that's why we can say that this is a optically inactive molecules. So we can say that even though this molecule has a chiral center, but we have to take into consideration its mirror image also. So in each and every condition, it is not possible that with the presence of chiral center, that molecule is to be treated as a optically active molecules, but it is a one of the important condition for molecule to be as optically active. So up to this, we consider here some important concepts. First is called as a specific rotation. What is by specific rotation? How to calculate this specific rotation with the help of this particular simple equation? What are the different type of the parameters involved in this particular equation? After that, we consider the simple concept, that is optical activity. What is by the optical activity? While considering this optical activity, how we have to take into consideration its mirror image, object and its mirror image. What is the relationship between object to its mirror image? How they get correlated. So with the help of that, if the mirror image is a non-superimposable, we can say that that molecule is called as the optically active molecule. After that, we studied here an important concept, chiral center or asymmetric carbon atom. Means a atom, that is carbon atom, if it is attached to the four different atoms or groups, that atom is called as the chiral center or asymmetric carbon atom. For this purpose, we take the simple example of glyceraldehyde, in which this carbon is attached to the four different atoms or groups, so it has the chiral center. For a molecule to be optically active, it must have at least one chiral or asymmetric carbon atom. This is a second important conditions for optical active compounds, but it is not true for each and every compounds. So for this purpose, we take into consideration this next example of tartaric acid. It is a mesotartaric acid, in which it has the two chiral center, but if we take into consideration its mirror image, it is not a non-superimposable. So we can say that with, even though it has the chiral center, but it is not a optically active molecule, while it is a optically inactive molecule. So these are the some important concepts we studied here in this current lecture. These concepts are very important in order to study the next concepts from the chapter, such as enantiomerism, diastereomerism, what in by the conformation, configuration. So for all this purpose, these concepts are very important. So the next or the remaining points we will study in a upcoming lecture. So with this, I stop here. Thank you so much.